Welcome, everyone. I would like to call today's meeting of the Committee of Adjustment to order. We would like to acknowledge that we're meeting on the traditional lands and treaty territory of the Saugeen Ojibwe Nation, which includes the Chippewas of Nawash, unceded First Nation, and the Chippewas of Saugeen First Nation. We also recognize the Métis, whose ancestors shared this land and these waters. We extend our gratitude to all Anishinaabe and Métis peoples and their descendants, past, present, and future, who continue to care for and inhabit these lands and tend these waters. Have the committee members had an opportunity to review the minutes of our last meeting?
Yes,
Are there any changes, necessary comments?
nothing like that.
May I have a motion then to approve the minutes? Cam and David. All in favor? That motion is carried. The purpose of this meeting is to review an application for consent to sever and an application for minor variances as they apply to lands within the municipality of Meaford. Before we begin, I would like to ask any of the members of this committee, do they have a direct pecuniary, personal, or general nature thereof interest in any of today's files?
No.
Seeing none, let me start by introducing the members of this committee. On my far left, Mr. David Cramp. On my far right, Mr. Ed Ormsby. And then Cam Hall, who is the vice chair of this committee, and myself, Terry Williams, I am the chair. The municipal planning staff in attendance today are Denise McCarl, Manager of Planning Services, Helena Fascinato, Planner, and Jamie Urim, Permit Administrator and Secretary for this committee. This committee is legally required to make decisions that conform to the Provincial Planning Act, as well as the existing county and local official plans. Based on those documents, as well as any additional relevant correspondence, the municipal planning staff have prepared detailed reports and provided this committee with their recommendations. The committee is encouraged to share their thoughts about a proposed application along with any members of the community. For those wishing to join us remotely via Zoom or are here in person, you will have the opportunity to speak should you wish to do so. I will call upon you at the appropriate time. It's also appropriate to ask any questions you may have as it relates to these applications. Your comments to this committee will help us to make informed decisions on these applications. The applicant or their representatives will also have the opportunity to respond to any comments or questions raised by either the committee or the members of the public. Anyone wishing to do so may receive notice of the decision of an application by calling 519-538-1060, extension 1120, or through an email request to planning@meaford.ca. Committee of Adjustment will now consider an application for consent under Section 53 of the Planning Act for the lands municipally known as 58111 12th line in the municipality of Meaford. Jamie, can you please confirm to me the date the notice was published and calculate that we've had at least 14 days notice?
Through you, Mr. Chair, notice was provided on January 8th, 2026, giving more than the required 14 days notice.
Thank you. Helena is the planner on this file. Can you please summarize the application and provide us with any comments that have been received?
Thank you, through you, Mr. Chair. So the property owners are looking to sever one lot from their property at 058-111 12th line. If approved, the severed lot will be 5.3 hectares in size with 136 meters of frontage on 12th line. The retained lands will be 15.8 hectares in size with approximately 174 meters of frontage on 12th line. So staff have reviewed the severance proposal and found it to be consistent with provincial, county, and local policies and bylaw. One note is that the existing barn on the property would not comply with MDS requirements, so a condition of severance is that the barn be demolished. And then for comments received, so county planning and ecology staff had no concerns, provided positive comments are received from Grace Auble. And comments with no concerns were received from Historic Saugeen Métis and Bell Canada. And we've now received comments from Grace Auble. They note that there's a water course that traverses a portion of the site, but that there is sufficient room outside of the regulated area to establish a new building envelope for a dwelling, well, and septic. Therefore, they are in support of the application. Thank you.
Thank you. Committee members, have you all had an opportunity to visit the location and or review the file? And based on those, are there any questions that you may have for the planning staff?
Not here.
Mr. Cramp.
Through you, Mr. Chairman. Is the 5.3 acres consistent with other lots out in that area?
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair. So it will remain a rural sized parcel. Our minimum is 0.8 hectares that it could be. And there are a few other smaller lots within that area. Across the street, it is all agricultural where you cannot sever. So the lots are consistently bigger on that side. But there are a few other smaller lots as well.
Thanks.
Are there any additional comments or questions?
No.
Does the applicant or their agent wish to say anything about this file at this time? No. Is there anyone from the public that wishes to speak at this time? If either of you would like to speak on this file, please unmute what you have and identify yourself. I take it then that there are no comments or questions. Committee members, are there any other comments you wish to make at this time? Then Jamie, can you please have us the suggested decision and conditions?
Through you, Mr. Chair, the recommendation is that the Committee of Adjustment grant approval of consent B01-2026 to sever one lot from the existing parcel. Staff recommend the following conditions. 1, that the applicant meets all the requirements of the municipality, financial or otherwise, for the certificate of a consent to be issued. 2, payment in cash in lieu of parkland dedication for the severed lands. 3, that the existing barn on the subject lands known municipally as 058-111 12th line be demolished. And 4, that the final reference plan be provided to the municipality for review to the satisfaction of the municipality.
Any questions? In the decision, is there any timeline put on the demolition of the building?
Yeah, so they have 2 years to demolish the building before the consent will lapse. The conditional approval would lapse.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments, questions? Then may I have a motion on the decision as read by the Secretary Treasurer? Ed?
I'm sorry, can I just clarify one thing then? If they wish to, Mr. Chair, if they wish to build a dwelling on the lot after it's severed, can they do that prior to the barn coming down?
Through you, Mr. Chair. So one of the conditions to sever is that they have to demolish the barn.
Yeah.
Yeah. So before, yeah.
Which gives them 2 years before it lapses. May I have a motion then? I'm sorry?
Tom is online now.
Tom, would you care to speak at this time? Oh, That's
Through you,
the
Mr.
next
Chair, it's for
file.
another
yeah,
application.
that's the next file, sorry. May I have a motion then on the Ed and Cam, all in favor? That motion is approved. Jamie, can you please spell out the next steps?
The applicant can now take down the sign on their property, and I will provide the notice of decision to them by email.
Thank you. We'll sign that now. Yeah. Thank you. Committee will now consider an application for minor variance under section 45 of the Planning Act for the lands municipally known as 108 Rainbow Beach. Jamie, can you please confirm to me the date the notice was published and calculate that we have had at least 10 days notice?
Through you, Mr. Chair, notice was provided on January 8th, 2026, giving more than the required 10 days notice.
Thank you. Again, Helena is the planner on this file. Can you please summarize the application and provide us with any updates and comments that have been received?
Thank you, through you, Mr. Chair. The property owners are requesting relief from the front yard setbacks for a dwelling with attached garage. There is an existing cottage on the property, which the owners are looking to replace. The existing cottage is located entirely within the 15-meter setback from the 100-year flood line. So within the hazard area. And it was also found that the existing cottage is located adjacent to the septic bed. So therefore, the owners are requesting relief from the front yard setback to move that cottage away from the hazard area and away from the septic system. Since the time of report writing, I'll just note that council has passed a bylaw to remove the H1 holding symbol from the property. We do recommend still including, and we have it in the decision, to include that H1 be removed as a condition of minor variance approval, because we haven't received the signed copy of the bylaw at this time. So we just suggest including it. So comments with no concerns have been received from county planning and ecology, as well as the historic Saugeen Métis. And we've received comments from Grace Auble as well. So they note that the reconstruction will improve the existing situation by removing the majority of the house from the hazard land. They'd be supportive further of further reductions to the front yard setback if it further enhanced the level of safety from flooding from the lot. And they note that the proposed consent is acceptable provided a permit is obtained to include flood proofing for the house. Thank you.
Any member of the committee have any questions regarding this file? No. And Mr. Rutledge, would you like to say anything on this file?
Helen has done a great job on it, summarizing it, and I just want to thank the council for your consideration.
Thank you. Any further questions for staff? No. Then Jamie, can you please provide us with suggested decision and conditions for approval?
Through you, Mr. Chair, the recommendation is that the Committee of Adjustment approve minor variance A01-2026 for the lands at 108 Rainbow Beach, providing relief from zoning bylaw 60-2009 to permit the following. A front yard setback of 6.4 meters for the dwelling, where table 6.2.1 of the zoning bylaw requires a minimum front yard setback of 9 meters. B, a front yard setback of 4 meters for the attached porch, where section 4.6 of the zoning bylaw requires a minimum front yard setback of 7.5 meters. C, a front yard setback of 4 meters for the attached garage, where table 6.2.113 requires a minimum front yard setback of 5 meters. Subject to the following conditions. 1, that the proposed development shall occur substantially in accordance with the site plan and elevations provided with the minor variance application A01-2026 and attached to this report as Appendix 1. 2, that the H1 holding symbol is lifted from the subject lands. And 3, that a Gray Sawbuck Conservation Authority permit is obtained for the proposed development.
Any comments, questions? May I have a motion then? David, and seconded by Cam. All in favor? That motion is carried. Jim, can you please read out next steps?
The applicant can now take down the sign on their property, and I will provide the notice of decision to them by email.
Thank you. The committee will now consider an application for validation under Section 57 of the Planning Act for the lands municipally known as 207-270 Highway 26. Elena, can you please summarize the application and provide us with any comments that have been received at this time?
Thank you through you, Mr. Chair. So it's been a while since the validation has come to the committee. I think the last one was about 4 years ago. So I'll do my best to explain, and we also have the lawyer on the line who is much more knowledgeable than I am about this. So we received a validation application for the property at 207-270 Highway 26. Essentially, in 1998, a portion of the subject lands were transferred to Meaford Highlands, and the retained lands were under the current owner, Judith Morgan. At the time of registration, there was a technical breach to the Planning Act, subdivision control provisions of Section 50, subsection 3. It was found after the transfer that the retained lands owned by Judith Morgan no longer exactly replicated the legal description of the lands subject to the consent decision in 1998. The property owner's lawyer is requesting a certificate of validation to rectify this issue. So the intent of this validation certificate is to create a valid document that relates to an already recognized separate parcel of land, which only applies to past contraventions and has no future benefit to the lands. And no comments were received since under the Planning Act, there's no requirement to circulate this. Thank you.
Any questions from the committee members? Help me to understand, because we don't do these very often, why this is coming now. In a sense, it's 27 years since the incident happened. Is there a reason why they would like a validation certificate now? Are they planning to sell it, do something with it?
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair, that's exactly right. So they're looking to, I believe that they're looking to sell, and this came up as an issue during the sale. And the lawyer who is online may be able to better explain it than I can.
Okay. Mr. Pappas, are you on the line? Sorry.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. My
Good
apologies. There was a glitch. I think I was demoted from panelist status, but I've nevertheless regained control of my audio. So I am here. I did miss the last maybe 30 seconds of the discussion, but I think I have the gist of it.
Okay, so can you just confirm why you're asking for the validation certificate now?
Certainly through you, Mr. Chair. One minor point of clarification in the staff report and the comments from Ms. Fascinato. The transaction at issue occurred in March 2025, so this was a little bit more recent. The 1998 dates were the dates of the original consents that were granted in respect of Part 1 and Part 2 in this property, and so through the recent transaction, which happened much more recently than the original consents, one portion of those lands was conveyed to the entity that now is the titled owner of the land, and it was discovered shortly after that in 2008 a road widening had been conveyed to the MTO along Highway 6, and so what had happened or what was discovered was that the portion of the lands that benefited from the consent in 1998, appeared to no longer be, quote, the identical parcel of land. And so there's a concern from my colleague, Mr. Douglas, that the provision of the Planning Act that controls the subdivision of land in Ontario, 5053, which the committee is well familiar with, may have been contravened inadvertently and technically, given that the lands are no longer the same exact meets and bounds description on a plan. And so that's the purpose for seeking the validation certificate from this committee today. I have certainly other information, or to the extent the committee has other questions about the nature of this type of decision, or the reason technically legally under the Planning Act why such a certificate's required. I'm happy to answer those, and I'm happy to answer any questions members of the committee may have.
If the land had been transferred to MTO prior to the decision in 1998, would that have made any difference?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. That's an excellent question. I think it would make a difference, and the difference would be I wouldn't be before this committee this afternoon.
True.
In 1998, the state of the lands, as it were the whole of Part 1 and whole of Part 2. The road widening, which came later, carved off a very small sliver of the frontage on Highway 26, and so had that been affected, or had that road widening been taken prior to the 1998 consent, we'd still be dealing with the same parcel, or the same parcel in respect of which a consent had been granted. And so here, it's not as though there's any intent to circumvent the need for subdivision control, or the requirements of the Planning Act. And what I'll add as well is even a road widening to the MTO would be exempt from the requirement to create consent, or to obtain a consent. So the underlying purpose or the intent behind the subdivision control provisions, they're not really engaged in the same way a de novo consent or something entirely new is being created here. The principle of these two lots of record have already been approved by a predecessor committees, and so all that this application seeks is to validate that the transfer, given that there may be a technical breach of the subdivision control provisions.
Without this validation certificate, would the existing owner not be allowed to sell, should they choose to do so?
So the effect, or the legal effect, should this committee see fit to grant the validation certificate, which I submit is the right thing to do in this circumstance, would have the effect of, under the Planning Act, the consequence is the nullification of that particular transaction that happened in contravention of the Planning Act. And so the validation certificate is effectively the tool to give light, or to uphold that transaction and the intention of the parties in that transaction.
Thank you. Committee members, any other questions?
lot on title to be removed. It's the lot on title.
If there are no further questions, comments, then can you please read the suggested decision?
Through you, Mr. Chair, the recommended decision is that the Committee of Adjustment of the Municipality of Meaford approve the request of a validation certificate for the subject lands here referred to as 207270 Highway 26.
Any questions, comments? May I have a motion then, please? Ed and Cam? All in favor? That motion is carried. You can please outline next steps.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I will provide a notice of decision to the applicant by email.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the committee for your time. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Be well.
So I assume the next meeting is February the 25th. Do we have files at that time? Thank you. And we should have all received the schedule of planned meetings for 26. You're okay? Everyone all right? That they received it. When did you send the email with the dates?
in Friday, Denise said, email.
Yeah, Denise sent it, yes.
Yes, Mr. Chair, it's on the agenda.
Can
I just
you-
put it's one of the links to in the agenda,
Yeah,
but I can send
If
it on to
it-
Ed.
Ed, if you didn't get it, can you please request it? Any other business? With that, I officially consider this meeting closed. Thank you.
Does make me marvel. Can you imagine